Okay. Hey everyone, this is Dr. B from Steps to the Future coming to you with this week's College and Career Conversations. I can't wait for you to have this listen in and join in on this conversation with this evening's guest. But first, I just wanted to make a comment about last week's broadcast. So, for those of you who had a chance to watch, we had Caleb Smith with us, and Caleb is the owner of Contender Esports in Cary, North Carolina. And he told us all about how important esports are now, how much it's growing, how well his business is doing, and how he's really focusing on helping young folks not only learn responsible gaming, but also having an opportunity to earn scholarships from gaming. And here's the funny thing. Now, we had that great conversation with him. So today I pick up my, yes, and I know I don't look old enough, folks, but I picked up my AARP magazine and was reading through the articles. There's a 4.5-page spread in here about gaming and seniors. I mean, really. And it's talking about how, games should be accessible to all, and how actually gaming is good for older folks and their brain power. So, I might have to go down to Caleb's place and learn how to do some of this gaming. So stay tuned, folks. We'll be right back. And I can't wait for you to have a conversation with our guest this evening. And thank you to Michelle Burden, who referred our guest to us. So we'll be back in a few seconds. Okay, so for those of you that are on with us, don't forget, make sure you share this out with people. If you have a comment or a question, please make sure you put it in the chat box so we can have that conversation with you. So right now, I am going to bring on the screen today's guest, Miss Frances Walker. Thank you so much for joining us. And folks, let me just read you her fantastic bio so that you get to know a little bit more about Frances. Okay, from a young age, Frances Walker learned beauty and poise from her mother, Joan Vaughn Walker. She instilled within her a strong sense of spirituality, as well as a love of people, music, and life. She attended Jackson State University, where she performed with the Sonic Boom of the South marching band, the Jazz and Symphonic Bands as well. In the fall of 1990, she was accepted into membership of the National Honorary Sorority for Outstanding Bandswomen, Tau Beta Sigma Zeta Iota Chapter. In 1995, Frances continued to follow in her mother's footsteps by becoming a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated and graduating with honors from Jackson State University with a BS in elementary education. She later obtained her master's degree in educational leadership from Wayne State University. She was a teacher and administrator. See, we have something in common here. A teacher and an administrator in one of the largest urban school districts for over 20 years. She has a gift of connecting with people through empowerment, encouragement, and music. Her students love her and have maintained relationships even throughout adulthood. She currently performs with the Blue Dawne Band as the lead saxophonist. Hey, that's really cool. Following her passion to determine her own destiny, she has completed several mastermind training institutes and continues to be an innovative entrepreneur and motivational speaker, trainer, and visionary in the industry. It is an honor to be selected to serve. Folks, please join me in welcoming Frances Walker to College and Career Conversations. Thank you, Frances, so much. And here we've got our first comment from Michelle. I told you, Michelle's always here. Hey, Michelle, thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, Frances, tell us a little bit about why an HBCU?
Well, I think we were speaking of this earlier as far as just what we're exposed to as a young person. And I'm from Pontiac, Michigan, about 25 miles north of Detroit. And my band director at that time, Mr. Clifford Sykes, he exposed us to the HBCU lifestyle or experience. I was a senior in the band. I was the drum major.
Oh,
And at that time, in this area, we knew a lot about Grambling State. You know, you heard about Florida A&M, but we weren't really. I didn't had not heard of Jackson State University, and so we had the opportunity. He took our entire band. We were able to perform. He took us to Indianapolis, Indiana, and we performed in the Circle City Classic. It's a very popular football game where the two schools were Jackson State University and Florida A&M University, and that is where the spark. That's where I was just ignited. I was looking at the field, and I saw Jackson State. I saw the drum majors line up, and I saw how they entered the field. It's called Tiger Run On, where it's like a very slow, and then it gradually progresses, and they just take over the field. And I remember looking at that like, oh my gosh, like, and I watched them perform. I started doing my research, and I told my band director, Mr. Sykes, I said, I want to go to Jackson State. I was already set to go to Grambling. I had my roommate assignment. I mean, everything, scholarships, all of that. But it was something about that exposure, just to something
yes.
different. And I was drawn to it. And he, you know how any teacher would do.
Mm-hmm.
Once I told him that, he made his phone calls and did whatever he had to do and got me down there. And so here I am coming down to Jackson State University. By this time I'm late into the band season. They've already
Mm.
started band camp. Everything is going on, but I'm one of those people that, in my mind, when I get my mind set on something, I
Mm.
go after it. I don't take no for an answer. So I went down there, little old man, my little blue saxophone case. I was known for carrying this little blue case. And I'm walking around campus, looking for the band, looking for this band, and this guy, he was walking. He said, "Hey, who are you?" And I introduced myself and everything. And he was already in the band, a freshman. And Roderick Hines, if you're watching this, it all started with him. So he escorted me to band practice, and the rest is history. I was just sitting there like in awe watching this band, and I marched behind them. They're going to the field. I'm behind them like, yes, you can be in this band. And but he set it up where I was able to audition with the band director at that time, Mr. Dow Taylor, who was just an icon in our world. And so I had a very non-traditional entrance into the
Okay.
HBCU. So I was able to just play everything I know. They interviewed me. Here I am standing in front of 300 bandsmen and bandswomen.
Oh my goodness.
And I had to play. He just said, play. And I sat there, I'm in the pit, and they're all looking at me, and I played every song I could think of. I thought so. I'm like, well, I'm good. Now I'm in. And he said, that's nice, but can you dance? And so the drum
Oh,
line cranked up, and I had to just start dancing, So I did what we do, and the rest is history. But I guess it just goes to say that having those type of educators, that we have, that we are, that just go above and beyond the extra mile for their students, to expose them to something they might not have otherwise been privy to. So
that is so amazing. I love that story because, I tell students that I'm working with this year. I actually work with some school counseling interns at Providence College, and I told them, you've got to be a champion for your kids. And that's what your band director was for you. He was a champion for you. He saw an opportunity to move you to a place where you were going to succeed, where you were going to thrive, and he made it happen.
yes,
That
he
that
did.
that is a great story. So tell me, so Michelle is actually saying, I love that Michelle says, she's saying that, you're a great saxophonist.
Yeah.
So thank you for that, Michelle. So one of the things, so tell us what the experience is like being in the band, like, practices. What is that like being a full-time band person in college, and especially in bands like you see at
Yeah.
HBCUs?
Whew, It's like you're in your own world, just as like you may have like the football team. It's just all
Mhm.
they know is each other. They do everything together, eat, sleep, practice, homework. It's the same mindset as a band member. Like we became and still are. Here
Mhm.
we're not talking 30 years later, and our closest relationships, closest friends are people that we were in the band with. So you
Okay.
establish lifelong relationships, but it's unlike anything I've ever experienced. I mean, you do everything together,
Mm.
from sun up literally to sundown. You have your 5 a.m. band practice. You got to get up, be on time. It teaches you, how to be on time. It taught us self-discipline, honor, integrity, character, everything that you would want to learn as a young adult. We learn. If you didn't already know it, that band experience
Right.
taught you those types of things that are in here, that only you can't, you have it's in here. It's not about how good you played and all that. Yeah, we all could play, we all could march, but the things that stayed with us are those life lessons that you really can't teach. You can only experience it. So yeah, I mean, we've gone through anything that you experienced in college. If you if you were tired from band practice, they would keep
Mhm.
us back. We would be out there on the field all night. They called our field the Dust Bowl, with just this field of dirt, and we didn't stop until it was done, until it was finished. You
Right.
practice and you practice. I'm sure everyone's seen the movie. What's that, Drumline and all of that?
Online.
Like
Mhm.
that, those things were real. That's
Yeah.
real for us. You were out there. You didn't have a set time like now. It's more. But we stayed until the show was perfected. And you still had to do your homework and do well in class. Get up, go to class, and
Yes.
in that HBCU experience. What's wonderful about it, it's not just the band experience or as an athlete. Those professors looked at you as family as well. So if you weren't in class that next morning and they knew you were a band member, they would call you. This was before cell phones and all the stuff we got now. They called your room. Hey, I need you. You got 5 minutes to get to class. So you would have professor calling your room, telling you had 5 minutes to get to class. If you did slip up and you were tired from practice, they made sure that you kept academics achievement in the forefront. We
Okay.
had instructors that they'll call your house. Don't make me have to call your mother. Like
Oh my
like
gosh.
those are see now, it's so huge and you're just a number. But at the HBCU, you're a family. They treated you like you were their daughter or their son. They made sure you got the class, and then let the band or the sports scene take you over. And
Right.
you flunking out of college. They made sure that you were where you were supposed to be.
I love that you said that, because when I've been talking to folks who have attended HBCUs, that's the same sentiment that they express about the nurturing that you get in an HBCU, that family atmosphere, that feeling of you have to work to fail. They're not going to let you fail. If somebody fails out, it's because they really worked at it really, really hard, because the professors
Right.
are there to make sure that you get through. And I love that. Back in the day, yes, they would call your house.
They did.
Call your house. I love that. I love
Mhm.
that. So tell me a little bit about, so you were in the band the whole 4 years.
Correct.
Correct. So you guys got to did you do a lot of traveling? So you did all the major football games, conferences, and what have you?
Absolutely. I would say if the one that stands out the most for me is that we were invited to perform for Motown's 30th anniversary.
Oh my
And with
God.
that experience, it's very competitive in the band scene because, with that, they could only take so many people. They couldn't take the whole 300-piece band.
Right.
So you had to audition for a spot to
Oh,
go to California. And here I am, a freshman, this
oh,
same girl who just went down there with her little case. And so all the upper, I think at that point, we probably had about 36, 48 saxophones. They were only taking 8
oh,
saxophones. So I put it in my mind, I'm going. I don't care if I'm a freshman. I came here late. I'm going to Motown's
Yeah.
30th anniversary, and I'll never forget this. And this is something that has stayed with me, and in any goal that I go for. We had, the band hall had like little practice rooms where you could go in, all night.
Mhm.
You can just lock yourself in a room. And I went in that practice room. I'll never forget, it was me and this little raggedy little piano and me and my stand. And I just went in there after hours. The custodian, snuck
Mhm.
me in. And I practiced and I practiced and I practiced those songs because we had to play a certain amount of songs. You had to stand in front of the band, the director team, and play those songs and march and do the dance team. All we had to do the whole show.
Right.
So the upperclassmen, they just knew it was just going to be all of them. Or no freshmen. No freshman will get picked, to go to California. You're a crab. They called us crabs. You're a crab. You're a freshman. But we all had equal opportunity to audition. So I didn't say anything. I just let them tease us. But at night, I snuck my little stuff to that band hall, and I'm practicing.
Right.
So long story short, that was the 8th saxophone that was picked. I was number 8.
Oh.
And I never forget one of the upper class. He was so angry. He was proud and angry at the same time because he was better than me, but he just took it for granted. He didn't practice. I got him just by a hair, I'm sure, because he was excellent player, but he just took it for granted. He didn't practice. And I was the 8th saxophone, and I'll never forget that because, we had the opportunity to meet people like, Patti LaBelle, Smokey Robinson, all the greats. A lot of the greats are not here anymore. We were backstage meeting these people, and she showing us her shoes and all this. Robert Townsend and his little crew, like they took us to breakfast. I mean, these are experiences that you can only have at an HBCU. But look what it taught, though. It taught young people to not take no for an answer.
Yes.
Not let someone limit what you can do, and just go for it and put your eye on it and continue until you achieve that goal. So that's why I was saying, yes, it was a band experience and we traveled all the way across the world. But that single lesson helped me just in life. Anytime I want to crush a goal, I go back into that mindset of how we were in the band. We had our band director, Paul Adams, would teach us. He would shut the lights off and you played those songs until you had them memorized because you couldn't even see the music. Like when we got to a certain level of mastery, when he shut those lights off, it's showtime.
Oh,
and we
okay.
would play that show. You didn't have anything to lean on. You had to know it. So anytime, like now, when I get to something I need to do, whether it's, a goal in my business or something I need to learn, guess what I do? I'd study it, and then guess what? I shut those lights off, and it's just me and that go, and I get it. So you see what I'm saying? Those are the type of lessons that we learn at an HBCU that can't be learned anywhere else. That you can take and transfer to any level of life.
That is so great. So folks
that make me cry, girl.
Right? Oh, this is folks that are listening to this and folks that are going to listen to this on the replay. If you don't hear anything else today, you need to hear that. You need to hear that about how this HBCU helped Miss Frances with lifelong lessons that she still uses today. And I love that about this freshman came in there with the mindset that I know if I practice and do what I need to do, I have just as much opportunity to go to this 30th anniversary for Motown as anyone else playing the saxophone.
Absolutely.
And got in there. Congratulations.
So the video is on YouTube. Like it looks old now, but it was huge back then. I'll never forget, everybody in Pontiac, Michigan, were all on the edge of their seats watching this broadcast. Okay. And so you know how at the beginning of the shows, the award shows, they start naming all the stars and everything that's on there. So when they say Sinbad, they say Sinbad, and his name goes across the screen. Mm-hmm. Soon as they say Sinbad, there you'll see me marching down that aisle with my saxophone.
Okay.
I'm very clear, and I was like, So the whole family was here just cheering and screaming. But I did get like a second of what do you say that? A little 15 seconds of fame. I got right after they say Sinbad, there I am marching down that aisle.
So is this still on YouTube?
Oh yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Motown 30th anniversary. Absolutely.
Okay. I will be finding this, folks. If you find it first, look at it, but I am going to find it, and I'll make sure that link is in the show notes.
Please do. It's
I will be watching this because I mean, when you said Patti LaBelle, you had me right there. I am a Miss Patti fan.
I am too. And I believe today's her birthday. If I'm not mistaken, today is her birthday. She's 77 years old.
And still going strong.
Still going strong.
I think I have seen Miss Patti in concert 5 times now.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you're a true Patti fan.
And she is, I think the first time I saw her, I think I was in college way back when, and that's when she was with Lady Marmalade.
Ah, yes.
Yes, Patti LaBelle and the Bluebell. With oh my God, and with the hair and the space costumes that they used to wear. Yes, that was my first concert with her. But I'm telling you, I think the last one I saw her here in Durham, and she's still kicking off her shoes.
To this day.
She's still kicking off her shoes. So, Frances, how did you get interested in the saxophone?
Well, my older brother, my big brother, Hoyt Walker, he played first. So, as any sibling, you look up to your siblings and I'm looking, oh my God, it's another story with this. I just looked up to my big brother. I wanted to do everything that he did.
Right.
And so he played the saxophone, but he wasn't as into it because he was an athlete. He was a football player, wrestling. Mm-hmm. So he kind of put it down. So I had a saxophone because now I have his saxophone to kind of tinker around with. So when it was my turn, when I got into middle school, I how they on those times, they were very specific on what girls could play and what boys could play. So here I go again. Well, I want to play the saxophone. So my band director at that time, he was like, no, you're going to play the flute. He put all the girls on the flute and the clarinet. But this is what he said. It's a twist to this story. He told me, I didn't know a thing was wrong with it. He told me, he said, your lips, hear me good now. He told me my lips were too big to play the saxophone.
What?
So I'm like, I didn't know anything. I'm like, okay. So I went home, and I told my mother. My mother was a very, very well-respected now educator, administrator here in the Pontiac School District. So that's my mother. Okay. Right. So I went and told, well, he said, I can't play the saxophone. My lips, she's probably like, he said, wait, he said, what? I didn't know anything was wrong. I'm a kid. So long story short, my mother, they wrote letters and we marked. Next thing I know, we're at the school board meeting. And next thing I know, I got a brand new saxophone given to me, and the rest is history. So my love story with the saxophone, as you can see, goes deep. Yes. Because it seems like at every time it was always some type of obstacle in my way that I had to overcome. But right. I said that's what I wanted to play, and I was allowed to play it.
Michelle said,
history. Still playing to this day. I'm still playing to this day.
Oh, that is wonderful. Michelle's talking about, oh no, I'm sure Mrs. Walker went off.
Yes, my mother did not play.
I don't blame her. So you followed in your mom's footsteps and went into education? Absolutely. Yes. I remember I majored in education at Jackson State University, and it was just a beautiful experience. I never forget when we were doing at the final stage, when how you do your student teaching. Mm-hmm. I remember I had the best of both worlds of an experience. I had the teacher, the first teacher, who was very structured, organized, and taught me, how to do everything, the right way. Our kids were sitting there, like little soldiers. So I learned that way, how to really master, curriculum. And she really taught me how to master classroom management. So that's always been one of my biggest strengths as a teacher, was the ability to manage the classroom.
Then I had then we had the second experience was another teacher who it was the complete opposite. So that's why I was able to put those skills and implement them into action. I had to come in and really get that class in order because the class a little bit more unruly. So I had I had one side of town. I had a whole other side of town of a teacher experience, but I was able to utilize those skills. And so when I came back home here to Detroit, my first job was here in Detroit Public Schools. I think that was one of my biggest strengths, having such a diverse experience again at an HBCU. They made sure even how they placed us, they didn't want us to have an unrealistic expectation of being an educator. So they gave us the best of both, so that when we found ourselves into a classroom situation, that we were able to be strong educators and not give in and quit and hang in there, because we were equipped with the skills that we needed,
Okay,
yeah.
That is so great, because I know, having been a teacher myself for a number of years and then a high school counselor, I know that those classroom management skills.
That's key, and I've been preaching that from day one. I mean, you have to have that. You can't teach without it. I don't care what you know. I don't care how great your lesson plans are. I don't care how the curriculum you've gotten that mastered. If you can't manage that classroom, you can't impart that knowledge from here to here, it doesn't matter. You have to be able to manage the classroom and build relationship and rapport with those students. That's number one for me.
Yeah. That is so true. That is so true. I love it that oh my God, I retired from my school district back in 2008, I think it was. And that was the only school district that I worked in at both the middle school and at the high school. And I really love that I'm still have relationships with kids that I knew. Some of the kids, I knew them since they were 12 years old, and now they're grown and have their own kids.
Absolutely. I love it.
Doing all kinds of great stuff. Yes. It's so nice to see your kids come into themselves.
And they're still, don't you still say my kids?
My kids, yes.
Me too. And they're like, well, we're grown, Miss Walker. I don't care. You are still my kids. They're always going to be my kids. Always. I don't care how they have their own kids now. Like you said, it just makes me proud. I look at them and they're doing so well. And I'll never forget when I first started teaching in Detroit, having that HBCU experience, I was able to bring that. One of the concepts I was able to bring, I'm very proud of, is a boys step team. So here I am, this brand new teacher, fresh out of college. And because I was, a member of, Greek, and still a member of Greek organizations, we had that experience as far as performing in step shows and everything. Right. And so one of my boys came up to me, Andre Edie, if you're watching, he said, Miss Walker, I started with the girls, because I'm in a sorority. And so I guess the boys got a little jealous or whatever. So he was like, well, what about us? What about the boys? What about us? Can we do a step team? So of course I'm fresh out of college, young, why not? Let's go. But those boys, let me tell you, and giving them that experience, you talking about building self-esteem, self-confidence. I mean, you couldn't tell my boys anything. They walk through those halls like they were a Barack Obama. You hear me?
Yes.
Because we instilled, of course you still pulled in other organizations and men to help them, with issues that only men can. But just being able to pour into those young men, we had an 8-year run, and that was my first job. But those boys, we performed all over the city of Detroit. I mean, they were like little celebrities. Like when we would go to another middle school, we would have to bring them in the back door, through the cafeteria, because the girls, everybody was screaming. Like, it's like they were like Usher and Chris Brown or somebody. Like we couldn't even take them through the regular entrance. We would have to run them through the back, and they would hit the stage and do their show, and we would whisk them back out and jump on the butt. But like you said, even now, those young men, we all are still connected. We all still have a very close relationship. And once a year at that middle school, Ann Arbor Trail Magnet Middle School, we get together like around the holidays, and just
Mm-hmm.
have a reunion. Every year we have done this with that group of students, because all of us were like brand new teachers, fresh out of college. So we grew up with our kids. We grew up; those were our
Right.
kids, but we
Right.
weren't that much older than them, because middle school, But they had that experience because of what I experienced at an HBCU, and be able to bring that concept of fraternity and sorority and unity and bonding and looking out for each other to middle school boys and girls. And
Yes.
now a lot of them have gone on. Now they're members of Greek fraternities and
Mm-hmm.
sororities. I think all my boys that did pledge are Qs. I think every
Okay.
last, I don't think I have anyone. I'm serious. I think they all pledged Omega Psi Phi. Every last
Okay.
one of them.
All right.
But just watching them, that seed being planted, they had no idea what was going on. But think about it now. They go to college and they're like, oh, this is what Miss Walker was talking
Doing
about.
right.
But they
Right.
are doing so well. I'm proud of I'm proud of each and every one of them.
And that's another important thing that you just touched on, the importance of the Divine Nine and how those sororities and fraternities give something to students that maybe they didn't expect it was going to be all of that, but it helps them in so many ways. My very good friend, my twin Antoinette Batiste, she's a soror of yours,
Okay.
and I sometimes I get so jealous when she's talking about their events, or I do something virtual with her chapter. She's out in California,
Okay.
and just the amount of sisterhood, it still just like amazes me, because I didn't have that experience. And I said to her one day, I said, I wish I had pledged. She goes, oh, you can still do a graduate chapter now. And
It's never too late.
I'm like, no, I don't want to do
It's
that.
never too late.
And she goes, you can do it. You can do it. I'm like, no, don't get me started on this.
You can. You can.
I know. But and that's something I tell people. I said, that's another important aspect of HBCUs that I don't think some folks fully understand, that the Divine Nine, it's such a different feel from what people think about Greek life. There's such a strong bond around service and commitment and sisterhood and brotherhood. That's a bond that lasts for life. I mean, the first time I went to a wedding, and this was for a family member who was a Delta, but just watching the ceremony that they do around the bride.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I said, I mean, we were all crying. We were all in tears. It was like so beautiful. And it was just gorgeous. Just gorgeous. So again, that's another strong strength of HBCUs that, I think it's really important for folks to understand. Hey, for you folks that are out there watching, listening, make sure you have any comments, any questions, throw them in the chat for us. Make sure you share this out with people, because Ms. Frances Walker is out here giving us some fantastic gems that you all need to be listening to. Again, she's telling us about her HBCU experience and how skills that she learned at her HBCU, particularly also through her band experience, have all transferred into her life and continues to help her help other students. So that's the magic of an HBCU. It's just generational. It's just generational. She's able to take what she learned and continue giving back. And there's nothing better than that particular aspect of being an educator, because that's what we do anyway. So you moved on from the classroom and became an administrator. So tell me a little bit about your administrative experience in education.
Well, that started. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I think the connection. My first job in Detroit Public Schools, I had a wonderful principal. She was like a mentor to me. Margaret Estelle was her name. She just passed away a couple of years ago. But you talking about an administrator that just saw something in me and just literally took me under her wing.
Mm-hmm.
And so she would teach me everything that she knew, because she knew eventually I wanted to become an administrator. I was in grad school at the time. So I
Okay.
was trying to get her to wait until I got my master's degree. But she was one of those like, nope, I need you in my office, at this time. So I was literally would just sit at her feet and watch her
Yes.
do administrative tasks. Like she taught me how to, if you know anything about administrator, one of the hardest things to do is to write a building schedule. The schedule, that's
Yes.
hard. But
Yes.
she taught me how to do that with her way of doing it. I remember just sitting there watching and taking notes, and she would make me do it and make me, have the second set of eyes on it. So she taught me all these different skills. So by the time I got my master's degree, I knew how to do everything. And so I still wanted to wait. Well, no, let me stay here a few more years. Next thing I know, she told me, nope, you need to put in for this position. Like she had a vision for me, and she pushed me, like literally pushed me out of the womb, because she was like a mother figure to us. Like I said, we were there for 8 years. We were like family. We were like her daughters. And she just pushed me out there. She literally made me start applying for these different administrative positions. And when I got the position, she gave me her blessing. And so I think that goes back to just being, when we go back to that HBCU experience, it's about being able to be coachable.
Yes.
And learning that from being in the band, from having that experience. We were always in a situation where someone was coaching us, whether it was a drum major or a professor or an instructor, or if you were pledging, that person, like I was a very coachable person. And she just pushed me out there. But I learned straight from the source, like just sitting
Mhm.
there in her office, just watching her, and then she would make me do it. And then now I'm at the board, and going through all the process of whatever she was teaching me. But she taught me herself, like grassroots, and those were lessons that you can't learn in any textbook.
No, you can't.
You know,
No,
you
you
can't
can't.
learn that in a textbook. You can only learn that live and in color, hands on. So yep. So from there, I was back then how they had these different titles, like curriculum
Mhm.
coordinator and
Mhm.
all these different titles. You know how they come up with all these different titles for positions. I even had a central office position where I was a director of a reading program
Okay.
that brought into the district, just to help increase our reading scores, and it's called Success for All. It's still a very successful program. And so just having that foundation
Mhm.
just really gave me the opportunity to have some wonderful teaching and administrative
Right.
experiences that I just would not have had. I think even when you're getting jobs, like when you have an HBCU background and they see your
Mhm.
resume, it could be as simple as that. Oh, you went to this? Okay, when can you start?
Oh,
Here's
okay.
your keys to your classroom. Like it can get like that. Seriously. Yes, you qualified and you do interview well and all that, but sometimes it could boil down to that. But you
Right.
never know who's on the other side of that table.
Yes.
And that person, if they're an HBCU person and you're highly qualified and they look down and they see that too, you have the job. You're gonna
Yes.
get the job. It's up to you to maintain that job and do well and excel. But having that background, just like any other college or university, it can it takes you a long way, because of the kinship, because of, it's just automatic. You can be traveling somewhere and
Mhm.
have a shirt on with your HBCU, or and someone sees you from across the room. Hey, next thing you know, you're having a conversation, you're embracing, you're hugging, you say, when were you there? When were you there? It's just like instant family.
Yes.
I never forget when we were traveling once with the band, like the bus broke down. Our band directors, they got off that bus and just they didn't have to stand 5 minutes. Cars just pulling over, because
Yes.
people, it's family. You just
Right.
connected all over the world. I've seen people be in different countries, and just from wearing a pin or a sash or something, when people know who you are and you recognize each other, it's just instant help, instant support, instant love, instant family. That's why, if you know, with the HBCU experience, homecoming is it's a serious matter. It's
Yes.
not like other colleges where you may go. Some people never go back. But with an HBCU, you're going to go to homecoming every year. You're gonna make an attempt to get there every year. I can count on one hand the amount of homecoming games that I have missed, especially now with everything's going on. We were like devastated. We're depressed. Like we don't miss a homecoming. So for them to cancel all of this stuff with everything that's going on, like for us, that is a true family reunion. We built our whole year looking forward to that travel. And that
Right.
hotel stay and seeing everybody and going to the game, and you look out in the crowd and everyone's shaking their pom poms and the band is playing, and the tailgate experience is like no other. People are out there. You have hundreds of RVs and people are just out there barbecuing and vendors and dancing and DJs and just fellowship and fun. Like people do that and don't even they don't even make it to the game. People go just for the tailgate. But you will
Right.
only find that type of experience at an HBCU.
Oh,
So it's just something, and it's not like we're saying that one is better than the other. It's just different. It's just what it is. You know what I
right.
mean? It's not better. It's just an experience. It's just
Right.
an unforgettable experience that will take you so much farther in life because of that, because of what you learn at an HBCU.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to go to not a homecoming, but one of my students was graduating from Hampton. And I told her,
Okay.
I said, I'm coming to your graduation. You do it in 4 years. I will be at your graduation. And I took one of my young mentees with me because I wanted her to experience being on a HBCU campus. And plus, she knew this young lady. So I wanted her to see that this was the culmination of all of her hard work.
Right.
And we were just walking around and, all the families that are there, the people that are there. It was mind blowing. It was
It
so
is.
good, and so so we're going to work on when you get ready to go to school, we're going to be looking at HBCUs, right? And she just said, yeah, I
Right.
kind of like this. I said, yeah, that's what we're going to do. We'll be looking at HBCUs for you. So that is definitely something that, that I hope works out for her. So once you left so you're retired from education now, right?
Yes, I am currently have a spa. I'm a spa owner here. It's called Skin
Oh,
Spa, and been in business since 2008. I graduated from Irene's Massology Institute, which is one of the top schools for massage therapists here in the state of
okay.
Michigan. And my mother, she planted that seed. I returned 16 years old, and she planned a mother-daughter spa day for us. That was one of my gifts. We went and got, massage, facial, all of the whole nine.
Mhm.
And even as a child, I was so equipped. I was intrigued by the work, and I asked the therapist. I said, if I wanted to do this when I grow up, what would I need to do? I'm 16, right? So she told me what school to go to and everything. And I always kept. Sometimes it's just good to keep nuggets of information in the
Mhm.
back of your head. I always kept that nugget. And even though I went on to go to college and go into education and everything, I never forgot what she told me. And so around 2007, I'm teaching, doing well in my career. We had it was a rumor that they might do some layoffs. Back then there was some
Mhm.
things going on
Yeah.
in education, and so I thought to myself, well, if I do get laid off, I don't have anything to fall back on. Like, what's my plan B? I didn't have anything, and that all of that came to my remembrance what the therapist at that time told me.
Yes.
So I checked into the program, schools, still there, still reputable. Enrolled into the program, a year-long program. You go through, you had to learn everything like
Yeah.
anatomy, physiology, all of that, state board exams. It's very intense, a very intensive program. And so graduated in 2008. And I would just do work like on the weekends. I was still teaching, work on the
Right.
weekends at different spas and everything like that. And through the years, my clientele just continued to grow, and my passion for that continued to grow. So it's been a blessing because, I tell people this all the time. A lot of times people, to have one thing that you're passionate about, which is
Mm-hmm.
educating and teaching children, but to be blessed to have two is
Yes.
is rare, because a lot of people don't have one thing that they're truly, truly passionate about. And so I was doing that, like I said, since 2008. And through the years, it just continued to grow and grow and grow and blossom. I have some amazing, wonderful clients. Many are former students, colleagues, and
Right.
so um, just taking a step of faith again, all that I can
Yes.
take everything back to that first day walking on that HBCU campus, because think about it. When you're running a business, entrepreneurship is not an easy. It's not
No.
easy.
Mm-mm.
But having that type of boldness from
Mm.
what I experienced at an HBCU, it's like nothing nothing deters me. I'm like, I can do this. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do it well. I'm gonna learn everything I can learn about it,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not gonna take no for an answer. It goes back to that. It goes all the way back to that, and just having the tenacity. That's one of our words that our band director Dow Taylor would always say. Do things with tenacity, and he would say it like really pronunciated like that. We just love when he said tenacity, but that tenacity, I think, is something that is developed at that HBCU level that has just trickled up in every aspect of my life. So yeah, we're doing very well. Our skin spa, we have wonderful um, client base, and we're just continuing, to grow. And
Right.
so I love that. I love that too. So I'm just one of those people that would just do it and go after. I never, mother taught me, I never want to be a person that goes through life and with regret and wondering, what if I wonder. I don't want
Mm.
to be a coulda, shoulda,
Yeah.
wonderless. So
Okay.
even if one thing about it, when you have your education and you've done well, you can always go back to that.
Right.
It's there, but I always want to be able to say I did it. I
Yeah.
tried it. Even if I fail, I'm gonna try it. You won't ever say I didn't try it. I didn't do it. I'd rather try it and fail than not do it and wonder what if.
Yes.
So that's the phase I am now in my life. I'm loving it. I work 4 days a week.
Okay.
We have the 4-day work week, and we're booked all the way now, I think, to the end of July. You can't
Oh
even get
my
in.
God.
It's
That's
it's a good
great.
problem to have.
It is.
And I'm still able to impart, in the lives of students and teachers in other ways. Like I do consulting. I do consulting about classroom management. Like that's my
Okay.
signature program. So I'm able to go into districts and help other educators with just that. I'm able to focus in on my music because I have that time to really focus and practice and play and perform with our band. So
That
it
is
just affords
good.
you the opportunity to really just live that type of quality of life because of the foundation that was laid at an HBCU.
Oh, that is
We're just wired
fantastic.
different.
Yes,
We're different.
definitely. Now you're
We're
making me
different
jealous.
individuals.
You're making me jealous, Francis. Now I need to go back to school so I can go to
Right. Go
an
back, write that
HBCU.
book. Look, you did the anthology now. It's
I
time for you to
know.
write your book
I
now.
know.
That's your story. Tell your story. It's time.
So tell me about, so you've continued with your music. So tell us about Blue Dawn.
Blue Dawn. The original founders, members of this band are two people that also attended an HBCU. They're proud graduates of Tuskegee University,
Okay.
Michael and Janelle Henderson, and they're also my fraternity and fraternity brother and sorority sister. So they were already in this band, established band. They performed all over, what
Mm-hmm.
have you. And we've been knowing each other, 20 plus years. And so I think a couple of years ago, we were all just kind of sitting around and talking. They were looking for some to add some additions to the band, and
Mhm.
And they asked me, would I be interested? Or I think I might have cleared my throat, like, like me, hello, but and so I was able to, have a moment to come to one of their rehearsals. Same situation. I had to audition, even though I know these people, they're like family to me. I had to audition, and they, had their little vote, and they voted me in.
Oh,
But it's
great.
been a blessing because, again, all that goes back to how we are bonded, no matter what college you went to. Now here we're kind of, I won't say rivals, but in HBCU we kind of go
Mhm.
back. We have a banter back and forth with each other, but it's all in love. It's not to the point of where it's negative energies. It's all
Mhm.
that's part of it, because we like to talk. Everyone thinks their school is the best, and
Right.
so we love to get together and do that. But when it's all said and done, when it comes to music, there's a saying that we always say: one band, one sound. And with that, it doesn't matter. Didn't matter who went to what school. And when they say, "Come on, I need you to come," you just do it. You go and you play and you practice. And as busy as I am now with my lifestyle, I we still make that a priority. I make it a priority for me to practice and for me to show it to practice. And I put that in my schedule. And again, that type of self-discipline and passion comes from what we learn as a band member, as a college student at an HBCU. Whereas most people would say at this age and stage of life, they would be like, "Oh no, I'm too busy. I can't
Mhm.
do it." But it's something about when having that experience. When Janelle, that's his wife, she's my sorority sister. She's the boss. Okay. When Janelle calls and say, "Hey, I need you to, be at this rehearsal," you're at that rehearsal.
Right.
Even though I might have 8 clients booked, I have to rearrange my schedule and work out some things so that I'm able to do that, because that's again how we interact with each other, fellow HBCU alumni. We just like that. When the call, when you're summoned, you answer the call. It's no question. We do what we have to do, and you go back to that mindset
Right.
of doing that. Like we practice now on Sunday eves, and usually Sunday, that's my day to just relax after church and
Right.
just unwind.
Mhm.
But you go into that mindset. We're so prepared for that and conditioned. You can push through, and you
Right.
adjust, and you pivot. That's a band
Mhm.
term. We pivot and we make it
Yes.
happen. So I'm excited about it. I'm honored that they asked me to come along with them on this journey, and we have some great performances coming up. So it's exciting to be a part of that still, 30 years
Right.
later, here we are all still playing our instruments and still loving it, still
That
passionate about
That is great. So I was looking around earlier and I said, uh-oh, Blue Dawn has a Facebook page. So I'll have to definitely make sure I stick your social media in the notes too, so people
it.
can
Yes,
go back
absolutely.
and read about Blue Dawn. I just love it. That you're still doing this. You're still being able to, show your passion through music. Something that
Absolutely.
started like, in middle school. That is
In
like,
middle school.
yeah, that
Yes.
is so, and like you said, most people don't think of female saxophonists, well, like that band director said. But here you are,
Here I am.
still going strong. I love
Still
that.
going strong.
I love that so, so much. That is such I hope some young ladies out there that are thinking about what they can or cannot do, or you're listening to somebody putting limits on your life. Don't let anybody put limits on you. Nobody can put limits on you but you.
Absolutely.
So you need to figure out what it is you need to do and get the right mindset. Get that growth mindset so that you can go ahead and do what it is that you need to do. Do what you know that you're good at. So one of the
I
things that
love
we
it.
had talked about a little bit earlier, so folks that know me, they know that I love books and I could talk about books all day long. And, I said, my next life, maybe I'll be a librarian or a bookstore owner or something. But something, or just maybe I'll just be a book reviewer so I can just read books all day and review them. But you are part of an anthology. So tell
Yes.
us a little bit about this anthology.
It's called Ambition, and an anthology of overcomers. And so, what the young lady did that spearheaded this project, And as you know, because you've done an anthology as well, and so she was really looking for women and men. We have one male author in there too,
Okay.
who were just indeed overcomers, and something that you went through was very, or could have been a series of events in
Right.
life, and so your chapter really talked about what it is that how did you overcome, what was your story.
Right.
And what was interesting about it, I believe we had 17 authors, but not one, every story was different. It was nothing similar. Every story, everyone had their own story. So my particular chapter was entitled Motherless. And what I talked about was my experience of losing my mother when my mother passed away, and what that looks like, and how that grieving process of
Mm-hmm.
how I was able to overcome that, because it was many, many, many years of just darkness, because my mother and I were like two peas in the pie, very,
Right.
very close. And so I was able to have a platform to tell my story. I
Mhm.
had not spoken about it. I just suffered and went through it,
Mhm.
silently suffered. People who knew me knew what I was going through, but the outside world just saw, hey, Miss Walker, and
Mhm.
I'm successful in all these other different aspects. But at home, I was suffering from the loss of my mother. And so I'm thankful for the opportunity to be a part of that anthology, because it was healing for me. It was a release for me. It was healing for me. It helped so many other people, and I fought tooth and nail to not do it. Like, I probably was the last person to submit my chapter, but she didn't give up on me. The
Okay.
the the lady who founded everything, shout out to Brandy Shelton. She kept, okay, friend. She would call me, text me, even like she did not, because she could have just been like, okay, this lady's not cooperating. But it wasn't that I wasn't cooperating. It was a hard subject to really
Mhm.
dive into and talk about. I wanted to do it silently behind the closed doors.
Mhm.
And so I knew telling that story would expose what I was dealing with. But I did it. She didn't give up on me, and I was able to tell my story. And then she had something similar to what you were talking about with your group. She had like a book signing event where
Right.
each one of us, we invited all our friends and family, beautiful location, a venue, what have you, and we all got a chance to kind of not read the whole chapter, but just tell a snippet
Mhm.
of what you talked about, and that was just, it was beautiful just to see and experience. And people bought your books. You were able to sit there and sign your books,
Oh,
to
that's
everyone, and take
nice.
pictures.
Yes.
And so even now, people are still ordering the book and inquiring about the book. And
Great.
we did this project, I believe, a little over a year or so ago, but people are still impacted by the stories in that book, and people who have lost their mothers. Like, I have had
Mhm.
so many friends and family members since then who lost their mother after that, after the book
Yes.
came out. So now we're able to, have those conversations. Be I didn't have to suffer in silence anymore, and I was
Right.
able to use my experience to help them cope. Everyone's story is different, but it's just, once you're able to tell the story, it's out there. You
Mhm.
can't take it back.
That's
Now
true.
people have someone they can look to help them get through it, because everyone's story is different with that. I tell people
Mhm.
this all the time. It's a club. It's a club you don't ever want to be a member of it, but
I
it
know.
will happen. But my story is not your story. And so we teach
Mhm.
people and to just be there for that person, and just be there. No one wants to hear, yeah, I remember when it happened to me. It's not about your story. It's
Mhm.
about that person's experience and how you can help them get to the other side of hard, as I say, because it's a very hard grieving experience. But
It
it
is.
helps having that experience with that anthology, and just pushing through to do it, uh, to make it where it's not about you anymore. It's about your story
Mhm.
and how it can impact the lives of other people going through the same
So how do we find your book?
thing. It's on. I'll get to you the
Okay.
link, and
Get
you
me
can
the
get it
link and I will
directly
put those in the show
from
notes.
that as well.
So
You can even put it on your
yes.
website.
Yes, so that anyone who is interested in buying this anthology, um, please make sure you do that. As I said, I'll put that in the notes, because what you just said, what's funny, we were having those same conversations when we were writing our chapters, and no two chapters are the same. But they all have, I don't know. There's a similarity, or there's a feeling of familiarity to each of the stories. So it may not be your story exactly, but there are pieces of it that may resonate with you, or you may read 2 or 3 of the stories and say, well, those don't really resonate with me at all, but then some of the others do. And like you said, everybody has a story to tell.
Everybody has a story.
Everybody has a story, and it's putting it down, and it's tough putting it on paper.
Yeah, that's the hardest part. Is the start. That's the hardest part. It's just putting pen to paper. But it seems like once you do it, like once I just sat down to do it, it flowed. I was finished.
Yeah.
I just had to sit down and do it.
And do it, right.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's the hardest part.
Yeah, that is so true. Oh, Frances, this has been like, sitting around the kitchen table having a conversation.
I love it. I love what you're doing.
This is so good. And Michelle, thank you so much for introducing me.
Michelle and I were childhood BFFs. We grew up together. Our mothers were very close.
That's what she told me.
So I haven't seen her in years, but our childhood, we were always together. Our mothers kept us always together. So this is like a circle of life right here.
Yes, it is.
She is the person that brought all of this together, because she's a very intricate part of my childhood.
Yes, that's what she had told me. It was so funny, because she said, Dr. B, I have someone that I would like to invite to your college conversation. And I said, go right ahead. And she did. So thank you, Michelle, because
thank you so much, Michelle. Thank you.
She's been right there, right from the beginning, and continues to be. Yes, she said, yes, ma'am. She's there. She's so good. She's so good. But so, folks, this has been one of those conversations. Like I said, it's like sitting around the kitchen table, just having a conversation, and it doesn't get any better than this. This is the first time that Frances and I have talked to each other. Usually I have a conversation or something, or I know the person. We didn't know each other before this, and it just flowed. And this is what I want this to be. I want this to be a conversation. But I love everything that she said about the HBCU experience and how that permeates every aspect of your life.
Every aspect of life.
Aspect
of life. I mean, seriously.
Yes, and that is definitely something. Oh, Michelle said you're welcome. Yes, Michelle, we're so happy you did this. I'm so appreciative of this.
Yeah.
So, folks, I will see you same time every week. As I said, I will put additional notes in the show notes. Folks out there that are listening to this live, thank you for tuning in. Please make sure you share this out with people, because there's so much good information in here. This is such a great conversation. Those of you that are watching it on replay, throw your comments in there. Let me know what you're thinking. Here's actually, I think this is your website, Frances.
Yes, correct.
Yes. So you can go on Frances's website. Ladies First Live. Yep.
Yes.
Yes. So you can check out Frances's website, and as soon as we get that link and the information about the book, I'll make sure that you have that. And while I'm talking about books, let me just throw in Becoming the Shero in here a little bit more. So this was the anthology that I had the opportunity to be part of, led by Dr. Anissa Short. And so along with Anissa, she doesn't have a chapter, but she coordinated everything. And if you would like a copy, you can order your copy right here on Amazon. Or if you want your own autograph copy, you can always send me a message and you can get your autograph copy. So folks, thank you so much for tuning in to this college and career conversation with Frances Walker, educator, entrepreneur, musician, HBCU grad, doing it all, and still doing it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So Frances, thank you so much. Any last words that you want to give to any students that might be out there listening to this?
I think you said it best, that just know that there is no limits to anything that you want to do. You know, well, there's a saying, as I always say, the sky is the limit. And I always tell people the sky is not the limit, it's the starting point.
Okay.
It's the starting point.
Okay. That is so good. So folks, that is the end of this college and career conversation. As I said earlier, thank you so much for joining in. Hopefully I will see you next Monday at 7 p.m. for another college and career conversation with Dr. B. So you folks, Frances, hold on for a second. So you folks, I will see you next Monday. Have a fantastic evening and be good.
Thank you so much.